So how do drones actually lift into the air? There is a thrust force that the propellers generate by moving air downwards. When the air moves down, because of Newton's third law, the force exerted on the drone is upward. And there's another force acting on the drone, which is gravity, which pulls the drone down towards the ground. So we've got the force of thrust acting upward and the force of gravity acting downward. When there's more thrust force than gravity force, the drone moves upward. When there's more gravity force than thrust force, the drone moves downward. In order to get the drone to hover and stay stable, the thrust force must exactly equal the gravity force. How do we spin drones around? The fancy word for this is actually called yaw. It means to rotate the drone around its vertical axis. And how this works is the props spin in the same direction across a diagonal. So these two props spin in the same direction, and these two props spin in the same direction. And this holds the drone in place. If we want to yaw the drone, or rotate it around its z-axis, we slow two of the props along a certain diagonal down, and this will cause the drone body to rotate in the opposite direction. The reason this happens is because of a fancy phenomena called the conservation of angular momentum. But what that means simply is that the drone body wants to keep the same amount of rotation always. So if it loses a bit of rotation or spinning of these two props, the body itself will compensate by turning the opposite direction. So how do we make the drone go forwards and backwards? These maneuvers are called pitch and roll. Pitch being rotating the drone forward and having it move forward. Roll, having the drone rotate sideways and move sideways. The way this is achieved is by generating extra thrust on the back props for pitch, so sending more voltage to these propellers, which will cause the drone to have more force on this side of it, so it will tilt upwards, and then the thrust will point in this direction and the drone will move forwards. And the same applies for moving sideways, but obviously we apply more force or thrust to the propellers on one side of the drone so that it tilts upwards, and then its thrust vector will take the drone to the side.